Today, we're going to review some of the NFL's incredibly strange and oddest NFL rules that defy common sense and understanding. Tuck Rule. One of the most essential laws in NFL history, the Tuck Rule drastically changed the course of the league. When the rule was put into effect in 1999, quarterbacks may pump fake and the play would still be ruled incomplete as long as their arm was going forward. It wouldn't be considered a fumble until the quarterback had tucked the ball inside their body. The idea was to make it clearer what was considered a forward pass. The tuck rule was first widely used in 2001 after Vinny Testaverde fumbled, although it was called a tuck, which ironically cost the Patriots a victory. The regulation garnered media attention during the AFC divisional playoffs later that year. The game looked to be over when Tom Brady appeared to lose the ball, but the play was overruled because of the tuck rule, starting the Patriots dynasty and Brady's run of good luck. Remarkably, the tuck rule was hardly ever followed. Only the fourth time a fumble has been reversed under the rule. It was last used in a 2011 playoff game involving the Chiefs and the Ravens. The rule's abolition in 2013 was the result of growing scorn for it. The new regulation stated that a fumble would actually be declared if a quarterback tucked the ball into their body. Banned celebration rule. An era when the NFL forbade imaginative and enjoyable planned parties is difficult to recall, which added to the league's title of No Fun League. Over time, the regulations governing what was acceptable following a touchdown have changed dramatically. Even spiking the ball was against the law at one point. When Joe Horn took a disguised mobile phone from the goalpost and Terrell Owens signed the ball with a Sharpie in 2005, the celebrations took on an entirely new dimension of inventiveness. The NFL responded by outlawing vulgar or violent gestures, props, and dunking on the goalpost. It was also forbidden to have planned celebrations. Infractions would result in kickoff penalties of 15 yards. But in 2017, the NFL loosened these strict regulations after realizing that celebrations were an effective marketing tactic. Players could still not leave the sidelines to participate in celebrations, but planned and coordinated celebrations were once again permitted. This modification increased the thrill of the game by causing several memorable and enjoyable celebrations. However, some people think that some dances, like Mike Gesicki's inexperienced Gritty, ought to be outlawed forever. Extra point rules. In NFL history, moving the extra point back was a big adjustment. The point after touchdown, or PAT, which is kicked from the 2-yard line with a success percentage of about 99%, used to be the simplest play in football. But the NFL changed the kickoff to a 33-yard attempt in 2015 by moving it back to the 15-yard line. With this modification, the success rate dropped significantly to about 93%. There is a certain sentimental appeal to the past, when a missed extra point was an uncommon and remarkable occurrence, even if others contend that missed pats heighten the intensity of the game. The rarity of some moments, like Tony Romo messing up the snap, makes them more memorable. While there's no denying that the modification increases uncertainty, it also eliminates the assurance that previously characterized the extra point. Coin toss rule. There's a coin toss to determine which team will receive and which will kick 3 minutes before kickoff in every NFL game. In order to participate in the coin toss during this period, each side must send exactly 6 players to the 50-yard line. According to a regulation, the team that has any one of these 6 players out of uniform automatically loses the coin toss, giving their opponents a big advantage. There has been debate concerning the coin toss, especially in relation to overtime. The side that wins the overtime coin toss has a big advantage under the present rules, since they may win the game with just a touchdown on their opening drive, meaning the other team cannot touch the ball. But if it's only a field goal, that gives the opposing side an opportunity to answer. The impartiality of this rule has been called into question. 8 postseason games have gone into overtime since the 2011 playoffs, with 5 of those games being won by a touchdown on the first drive. Many players and coaches have called for a rule change to ensure a fairer conclusion because historically, teams who won the overtime coin toss have gone on to win the game in around 53% of cases. Now, the updated NFL playoff overtime rules mean the winning team in the coin toss will get to choose whether to receive the ball or kick off. There will be a chance for both teams to have the ball. Ricky rule. The NFL encountered a unique event in 2003 that resulted in the development of the Ricky Rule, named for the well-known long-haired player Ricky Williams. The problem of players with long hair accidentally getting tackled by it was something that the league wanted to solve. In order to make the regulations clearer, the NFL said that a player's hair is acceptable for opponents to hold when trying to tackle a ball carrier, since it's seen as an extension of the player's jersey. The question of whether players should be punished for unintentionally touching another player's hair during a tackle was unclear, and the subject of debate before this regulation. There was so much uproar over this that the NFL instituted the Ricky Rule. According to the regulation, a player's helmet now includes any hair that protrudes from it as part of their jersey. In the heat of the moment, it can be difficult to determine which portion of a player's body or jersey is being grabbed, according to one NFL commentator, which makes the penalties for hair grabbing a little arbitrary. He observed that it's normal to reach out and grasp whatever that's around when attempting to make a tackle, be it a face mask, a jersey, an arm, a leg, or even a handful of hair. On routes, wide receivers frequently don incredibly tight jerseys. Long, uncovered hair would appear to go against this tradition. 14% of NFL players have hair long enough to subject to the Ricky Rule, according to 2015 research. Weight limits. Teams impose particular limitations on players' ability to join the NFL in order to make sure their staff is ready to play. Athletes must maintain a specific weight in order to compete in sports, according to the regulations set down by many teams. Players that go above these boundaries cannot be fined by individual teams, but they can be benched. The NFL rulebook does, however, provide that players who exceed a set weight restriction may be fined by the league. A player who exceeds the weight restriction may be penalized up to $630 for each additional pound. Terrence Knighton, a defensive lineman with the Broncos, said in 2015 that he had been fined around $300,000 over the course of 2 years for failing to fulfill weight limits in the 2014 and 2015 seasons. Icing the kicker. Timeouts are important in NFL games, particularly when a team has to stop the clock while the clock is running. Teams will do all it takes to come inside field goal range in the hopes that their kicker can seal the victory, because many games are won by a decisive field goal in the final seconds. Calling timeouts moments before the ball is snapped has long been a coaching strategy known as icing the kicker. Coaches are only allowed to try this move once, even though it is lawful. A coach will automatically get a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike behavior if they call consecutive timeouts. When he iced the kicker twice in a row, a former Redskins coach discovered this the hard way. His actions, not knowing the regulation, resulted in a 15-yard penalty, which made the field goal attempt by the other side much easier, 36 yards instead of 51 yards. The Redskins lost the game 18-17 as a result of this penalty, underscoring the need for understanding and following the rules. Cleat policies. In the modern NFL, shoe policies have grown more divisive as players want to show their uniqueness and develop personal brands. Although there's nothing intrinsically wrong with this tendency, when players violate the rules, they may be fined. Antonio Brown, a player for the Steelers, was fined for frequently donning cleats with unique patterns that included superheroes, anime characters, and his well-known Arnold Palmer cleats. Players that have endorsement agreements with shoe companies are prohibited from hiding the logos, as corporations such as Nike want their swoosh to be easily recognizable. Odell Beckham Jr. was fined more than $18,000 for donning cleats in memory of Craig Sager. The NFL changed its rules in 2017 to permit personalized cleats under certain circumstances in response to repeated complaints from players and franchises. Players are not allowed to hide the logos of NFL partner companies, such as Adidas, Nike, and Under Armour, according to the new regulations. Furthermore, political or insulting slogans cannot be shown on cleats. The NFL said that Week 13 would be a unique time for players to show off their personalized cleats in favor of charity causes. The league must approve the selected charity. All personalized cleats are then put up for auction, with the proceeds going to the designated organizations. Taunting rule. The NFL implemented a taunting policy in 2021 with the goal of reducing players' on-field provocations, both verbal and physical. It's a little odd that there's a need to control the language that mature men communicate after full-contact tackles in a sport. This rule, which I don't particularly like, defines taunting as any act or phrase that incites hostility between teams or serves as a bait. It basically punishes gamers who engage in abusive language. Taunting is a 15-yard personal foul that results in an automatic first down for the defense if it's committed. The league's wish was to uphold sportsmanship, similar to stopping the severe trash talking for which Kevin Garnett was notorious in the NBA. Although the goal of the regulation is to lessen verbal abuse, players have frequently resorted to violent altercations, such as forceful pushing, instead of verbal abuse. Many times, referees have mistakenly called player acts that weren't meant to be taunts as taunts, leading to penalties for the players involved. This regulation is still in effect, and its application is still controversial, since many believe it stifles the game's inherent spirit of competition. Hip drop tackle. One regulation that many opposed before it was put into effect was the hip drop tackle ban. It's troubling that a defender may be called for a foul if they trip or make contact with the rear of a player's legs. A significant worry is that this regulation would encourage more player workarounds, dirty plays, and injury. The rule's rationale makes sense given how risky and career-threatening it is to land on a player's legs. It reminds me of the roughing the passer rule and other such rules that, if officials read them incorrectly or apply them incorrectly, may drastically change the outcome of a game. These peculiar regulations highlight the complexity of the NFL and the league's ongoing attempts to strike a balance between player safety, fair play, and the integrity of the game.